of High Performance Entrepreneur Series. Kabir here. So I welcome the guest Lijo George, Semi, Binish, Bala, Anas, Afan, and today to moderate this event, employee to employer, I have Jasir Alavi, who is the LinkedIn coach. So before that, uh, I'm just waiting. Lijo, can you raise your hand so that you'll be able to? I'll be able to pull you up. There will be a hand raise on the right. Perfect. 1 second. Can you unmute your mic so that we can hear your voice? And hi, Ijaz. Hi, VP. Yes, Lijo, can I hear your voice, please?
Hello, good morning.
Perfect, Lijo. It's working. So let me hand over the mic to today's moderator, Jasir Alavi, who is my LinkedIn coach. And the stage is yours, Jasir.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. Let me moderate today's event. Um, as you all know, today's topic is journey from employee to employer, a journey from employee to an entrepreneur. And we have two special guests here today, Mr. Vaisukumar, popularly known as VP Manan, who is a success coach and a business startup mentor. He's a trainer and a coach, and um, he has trained many people to be coaches, and he's has helped budding entrepreneurs and has a wealth of knowledge to share here. And we also have here Mr. Lijo George Kutukaran, who is the founder of Lijan Group. His journey from starting as an employee to establishing his own successful business is truly inspiring, and let's hear it from them. So, without much ado, let's dive in. Mr. Vatskumar, or shall I call you VP? VP, man.
Hey, thank you, Kabir, thank you, Jasir, hi, Lijo, and good morning to
Yeah,
everybody.
could you share your journey, like from being
Can you hear
and
me well, Jasir?
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so the
Right.
journey has been good. It's been 10 years now. It was in 2013 that I quit my corporate world after spending about 24 years in the corporate world. And it's been a satisfying journey because the core reason why I left the corporate world after spending 24 years in the corporate world was I wanted freedom, I wanted flexibility, I wanted to be in control of my life, and that was the reason, and that's been happening. Of course, as an entrepreneur, it has its own ups and downs, as every businessman knows. But that's part of the game. But overall, I'm quite happy with the journey, the way it has evolved, and from where I started to where we are today. I mean, I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, what made you make that move from your being an employee to an entrepreneur to be a coach?
So this is something which I always tell people that you should be very clear about why you want to make the transition. And for me, that why was very clear. I wanted, like, I had a good time in my 24 years with the corporate world back home in India as well as in Dubai. I worked with some very good companies in some good positions. There's a lot of learning, met amazing people. But at the end of the day, I reached a stage where I wanted to be free. I didn't want to go to somebody else's office and work for someone else. I wanted to do things for myself. I wanted to use my own capabilities, my knowledge, my skill set, for building something of my own. Yeah, so the why was very clear, that I wanted freedom, I wanted flexibility, I wanted to do things that I wanted to do. Rather, because in the corporate world, no matter whatever position you are in, you may be in a very senior position, but you still have bosses to report to. So even if you're CEO of a company, you still have to report to the board of directors, the shareholders. Yeah, that is something which I didn't want. I didn't want anybody above me, except, of course, even today as an entrepreneur, I have my customers above me. I have my yeah, that's a different thing, but yeah. So this was the core why, the freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Right. So yeah, I heard that. Like, I think that's the top number one reason why people choose to be leave their jobs. Um, so, Mr. Lijo, coming to you, Mr. George, like, how has been your journey going from a employee to become a founder of Lijo Group? You have had 10 long years in the industry from 1994 to 2004, and then you started Lijan. So, tell us more about your journey.
Thank you, Jazer. Good morning to all. I'm Lijo George, basically for South Kerala. Uh, Passed out 1993, mechanical engineer. By the grace of God, luckily, after 1 year in Tata, Mumbai, landed Dubai in '94. So I'm going to touch 30 years now, next year. Uh, as we all know, when we an engineering graduate come out from the college, we only know some theory knowledge, or we have zero in practical. Uh, 1 year in Bombay in Tata, which was an agrochemical company, gives me some exposure. Nearly 11 months I worked in mechanical engineering and came to Dubai. I joined a thermal insulation company. Uh, Pretty young, that time thermal insulation company, my role was a site in charge or a site supervisor. Uh, I worked two companies like this. One company left in 5 years, and another company I worked for nearly 5 years. From the site engineer or site supervisor to then I become site engineer, then engineer coordination. Fifth year, I become a management member in that company. I got every chance to work almost all the departments in a contracting company nature. Meanwhile, I will just explain you what is exactly our scope or our area is. As you know, in the process industry, there are very high temperature process happening, like crude oil is refined to petrol or diesel, like that. Similarly, very cold temperature areas are also coming in LNGs, liquefied natural gas. So these two areas, actually, we have no academically or in our college days, we are not studied anything about it. So the process which I was going through in my first 10 years as an employee, I try to learn maximum what I can from the practical side of it. So the first turning point was I got a very good boss. I worked under a boss. When he selected me to work under him, the question he asked me is, "Are you ready to work with me without looking your watch and wallet?" And that is one point which normally I also tell to my juniors or my people. When somebody fresh looking for come to Dubai or any place and looking for a job, technically professional, if he start looking his watch and the wallet, probably you will earn much less experience or expertise. So I said yes. So I worked with him 7 years, he gives me a lot of expertise in our field. That was the confidence that I will start a business. When I reached 10 years in my career, there were many colleagues similar in my same positions. So I was performing much better than them. So, but normally in a company or a corporate world, normally they scale almost the same way. So I decided that I will move out and do it in my own, in my character company. Yeah. After 10 years, I could get enough job opportunities, but I decided to do it alone. So I started alone. In that time, as you know, when an employee moved to as an employer, there was a financial capital problems comes. So my wife was working that time. So I asked her to join with me as a first employee. She was very smart in that her field. So I decided to give even the name half to her. So my Lijan stands for Lijo and Anjana, AN. So she joined with me, and in from 2004 onwards, his journey is going on. In fact, I will say that the first point to sustain the market, you should be passionate, as everybody says. There were many incidents in my first 5 years that financial crunches comes or financial problems comes. I couldn't take out even my salary. I couldn't give salary to my wife in my initial stage because my capital was much less. But I survived because of my passion was much higher about that. And we do as a contracting nature company. We do or we people ask success. How you do the last job. So we try to do our every job with a satisfactory client. The journey goes on. I have a branch in India, and we serve like company like refineries and petrochemical, diesel, power like that. What we have to know is in this, I say many things with an engineer. I'm talking from an engineer professional point of view. We whatever we learn from our college days. Is not enough to get good expertise. So when I get an opportunity to learn outside after your studies, that will help you a lot. So people who ready to work in, so I always suggest or advise people when a fresh gentleman comes, I tell that ready to work for first 10 years your career to learn, so that you can learn after 10 years. Thank you. Over to the questions, please.
It's truly inspiring, and now we know why it's called the Jan. And so, what was just before I go to the panel again? What was the feeling that you had when you decided to make that change to start on the first day? What was the kind of feeling you had?
The first thing was that I would like to give jobs at least for 100 people. That was my first aim. Because we know coming here probably from India, coming here looking for job, people, it's difficult to get the first start. So my first aim was I was very passionate to run a company in my character. That is, everybody will have every company will have a character which normally forms from the top. Say certain things they say these companies will do only like this. Just they form a character. So like that in our thermal insulation field, I would like to run a company of in my character. That was the first instinct.
Right. Um, Coming back to you, VP Manon, can you share some tips? You had a long career in the corporate world and then in coaching now. So, can you share some tips for the budding entrepreneurs who wish to take this entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, Jasir, thank you very much. Yeah, so few tips that I can share, and this is coming from my own experience of the last 10 years as an entrepreneur, is that, like I mentioned, the most important thing is to be very clear with your why. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur? So the why needs to be very clear, and the why can be very different for different people. Some people may want to make money, some people may have a different why. Like I said, my why was freedom, and I wanted to be free and flexible to do whatever I wanted to do, and also I wanted to do something for the larger community. So in a business, when you're working in a corporate, you are stuck to doing things which the business wants you to do. But when it comes to your own business, you are free to choose what you want to do, and what is the vision that you have for yourself and for the business. So the why should be very clear. That's my tip number one. The second one is choose a business where which you are passionate about, which you are longing to do, because whenever you want to make that switch, there will be a lot of people around you who will give you a lot of ideas. Oh, do this, do that, and most of the time I believe it's when these people tell you to do certain things, it's their dreams which they were not able to fulfill. It's like the parents dumping their dreams on their children. Similarly, there are a lot of people around you who wanted to do certain business or who dreams of doing certain business, but they can't do it, so they'll tell you, hey, why don't you do that? But don't get into that trap. So you need to decide what you want to do, and choose, because I remember I when I moved into being an entrepreneur, the first business that I got into was something which somebody else suggested me to do, and I thought it's a good idea, and I went and started off. But I spent about a year and a half, and it was a complete failure. So there I learned that no, I shouldn't do what others ask me to do, but I should do something which I really want to do. And the clarity of what you want to do may sometimes take time, to get clarity around it. So that's okay. That's okay. It's a process. And the third tip I would give people is always start small. It's okay to start small, but think big. In your larger vision, you should stretch yourself. You should force yourself to get out of the comfort zone, but you don't have to do everything from day one. So a good way to make this transition is to do some side gig, as you're working in your corporate job, maybe as a part-time thing. Do something small, and see how it's going, how it's working, and then so that's what I did. I wanted to get into training, coaching. So even when I was working, I used to do trainings on weekends. So 5 days I would go to work, and those days it was Friday, Saturday, weekend. So on weekends I would do trainings. I did that for about 6-7 years, and then I realized that what I do on weekends is more interesting than what I do on weekdays, and probably I should look at doing that full time. So start small, so that the risk is less, and then of course push yourself to think big and do big. As you do all this, my fourth tip is have a solid, robust support system. And that support system comes from your family, your friends, your mentors, and all, especially your immediate family. So for me, my core stakeholders was my wife and kids, because they were directly impacted. When I quit the corporate world, my salary stopped, and getting into a risky thing and starting something on my own. So they are the people who gets impacted. So, talk to them, tell them about your plans, tell them about your vision, have their buy-in. That's very important. Have their buy-in, so they are there with you. Otherwise, if they're not aware of what you're doing and how you're doing and what is your larger vision, it can create problems because they won't understand you. So I was very clear from day one, with my family, that this is what I want to do, and I had my wife's support. Yes, go ahead and do it, and that support is always there even today. So that's very, very important, having that support system. And again, your friends, close friends, your mentors, and people like that. The fifth tip that I would give is, as an entrepreneur, we need to be very patient and flexible. Patient because sometimes things work the way you wanted it to work very quickly, but sometimes things can take time. Yeah, so be patient with the process of how you evolve, how your business evolves. So that patience is the key, and being flexible. Not being too rigid. No, this is the way I will do it. This is the way it should go. No, be flexible. Take it as it comes, and be flexible to make changes to your plans and to the way you look at things, and keep your mind open to different perspectives and things like that. But whatever you do it consistently. So for example, when it comes to marketing of your business, I mean, have a plan and implement those plan on a day-to-day basis. Consistency is the key. So whatever you do consistently over a longer period of time is what gives you the best results. One of my mentors, who is, I think he is in the session now, Saveen, he always says that change small, change often. So make those small changes on a daily basis, but make it often, and that's what will get you the results. Right, Savin? Thank you very much. That's been an amazing tip that you had given me, which I still follow. And then a bit of risk taking is important as an entrepreneur, but I would say take calculated risk, know what can go wrong and how badly it can go wrong. And so that's, you always hope for the best, but then be prepared for the worst. So think of the worst case scenarios and make sure that you're aware of it, so that nothing catches you by surprise. So taking calculated risk is part of being an entrepreneur or running a business. And one very important thing that I would say is your personal, how you take care of yourself personally, your personal well-being. What rituals do you have to take care of your mind, body, soul? Physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being. Yeah, that's very important. And everybody will have their own. Some people will go to the gym, some people will exercise, some people will do meditation, some people will do something else. For me, what works is um, looking at the lighter side of life, the humorous part of life. That's something which keeps me. That's my ritual for myself, along with a few other things that I do. So each one, but you should have something. That's very important. Because that also helps you to be self-motivated, so that you're not dependent on external factors to motivate you. The motivation comes from within. Yeah, and that's very, very, very important. And the last tip, sorry if I took some longer time, but the last tip is enjoy the journey. That, so unless you enjoy this journey, it's very difficult. It's because you'll go through a lot of ups and downs as an entrepreneur. And the whole idea is that you're creating something for yourself, and that journey, that this is a never ending journey. There's no destination that, oh, I have reached. No, it's an ongoing journey. Yeah. And everyone will have their own journey in their own way, at their own pace. So whatever it may be, enjoy that journey. That's I think one of the most important tip that I can give. Over to you, Jasir. I hope I made some sense.
Thank you so much. Those are really, really valuable tips there, golden tips. I hope people have taken note of those tips. I have, for anyone who's starting out on this, journey or considering that. So these are tips that you should consider, should study. So thank you so much again. Dr. Sujit, good morning. Before I come to you, I just want to quickly ask Mr. Lijo, what are some of your tips? What are things that you would ask people to consider before starting on an entrepreneurial journey?
Jasir, was that to me? This is Dr. Sujit here.
I actually meant Lijo. I had some other question for you in mind.
Hello. Yes, Jazir. The question is to me. Then ask me again because you addressed to Dr. Sujit first. Hello.
Jasir, can you repeat the question? I think there was a confusion.
Yeah.
Hello, Jasir, you are available?
Yeah, sorry, I went on mute there for a second. So, yeah, I was asking Mr. Lijo that what are some of your top tips that you would share to people who want to take this journey? What are things that you would ask them to consider before starting the journey and, and when they start the journey?
Okay. Well, Jazir. Thank you. Uh, the first thing, from my experience, if somebody would like to start a business or anything like that, I would say you should know all or most of the tricks of the game, initial tricks of the game. Every business will have a trick uh, to survive. So that should learn before he starts. If I say imagine your service or the service which you provide will have a market value, market price for that. So before you starting, you should know how to do it in lesser price so that you can get the job. So the first thing, the first point is you should have enough expertise to start a job. You should be highly rich in the your wealth of experience. That is number one. Number two, I could say, from my point of view, I never thought of making money when I decided to start because I was keep on losing money in my first stage. As you know, in a contracting nature job or service nature job in this market, you need money to complete the job. Then you are waiting for the bill to be get paid. So very often I was in trouble in earlier days. So it should not be money that motivate you. It should be your passion. If you are, if it is money, then you will leave in between and run. There were instances in my case that I have to borrow from bank or even from my mother to give salary to my people in my earlier days. But I kept that salary date fixed in last 20 years for me. It salary will come on a date on or before. So my third point I'm coming to is you should be very good in paying out if you want to stand out in the market. People will come to you because if you people know that you are a company which happens money part or payment part on time, you may get or service or material or goods well ahead. Finally, you should be accountable whatever you do. When in the service sector, we say the support to the client. And when you do a job, it undertaken a job or a contract, it's your responsibility to hand over it in time, satisfying the client. That will keep on coming jobs. My company actually take annual maintenance contract to the government from government like Enoch Refinery or Power and Diesel. So the moment, say, in 1 month of your operation, when you lose your competency or expertise or your response time, all these, then they may not consider you in later stage. So to sustain or continue the relation with the client, should be always vigilant. So you have to work or you have to be on the job 24 hours. So the crew which is standing with you or running the show should be aware that we are here to serve you at any time. So that gives you success. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those tips. So, know the tricks of the game. Don't do it for the money alone, and be accountable. Thank you so much for those, golden tips. Coming to you, Dr. Sujit, I would like to know what made you decide to go on your own, start a business in this domain, which is I think you were engineer and then decided to go with the education sector. So
Thank you, Jasir. I think it's a very, very interesting topic. I think adding to what Lijo and VP have already stressed is that you need to identify your unique skill. So, creating your own identity and identifying your own unique skill is the first point. My take was that the first few years of my career, I think first 10 years, I spent working and identifying gaps in the business. So when we worked with IT sector, I understood and I got opportunities to work in two of the leading educational institutions in UAE during the initial phase of my career. And compared to the high standards, of education that was already there, because I did my masters from the US and I did my engineering from India. So where both the systems were quite robust, we found that the UAE system required a lot of assistance. And the first 10 years I identified gaps, like what nobody was really able to provide and which we as a university were struggling. So that became my niche, that became my system. So we used skills of report writing, data analysis, IT project implementation, and it came to the learning management systems. All those were just evolving when I had just started my career, and that became my forte. So my first thing would be to identify that unique thing that is missing in your line of business and see whether you can work and develop that niche and develop that business. Now, having said that, sometimes you might want to work with collaborators. You might want some expertise, which is your unique skill. And once you've identified that and you take a bigger projects, you might need support from other staff. So that is something what I realized, that even in the same space we can collaborate, and there is no need for everybody to do the entire job. So you pick up the entire project, and like they do in big engineering projects that Lijo was currently mentioning, you can subcontract. You are very specialized in one certain field and you're very good at doing that at a given price at a certain quality. And if there is another partner who is willing to take another part of the job and maintain the same quality for you, why not? So even in these days in education, we collaborate with a lot of partners, and some of them do IELTS the best, some of them work and do tuitions, some of them work with Vedic maths and mathematic courses. So all of them are collaborators for us, and we stick to our core area, which is study abroad and feasibility study, market research, IT integration, while a lot of these other partners bring in their specialty. And we always tell the client, this is our partner, it's a strategic partner, and they are the best in what they do. They respect that. So in that way, we have gained a lot of confidence from our clients, maintained them. And I think Lijo also stressed this, that we need to be transparent with clients. They understand that your forte is this, and it's good to tell them that we don't do this, and this is going to be done by our partner, and they are our strategic alliance. So transparency, honesty, payment over time. And I think the point that I started with was understanding your niche, understanding yourself, identifying that niche service or product which you want to give out to your customers, and there is a kind of market space. I would stress the next point before you jump in and you open up your license and grow big is to do a proper planning, because I believe 80 to 80% of your entire task is planning your product, is about positioning your product at the right price, knowing your competitors, knowing those gaps. Because as an employee, you have a fixed mindset. You work from 9 to 6, you do your job and you are the best at it. But when you become an employer, you need to have a growth mindset. You need to be able to accept things. There could be things that you're not good at. Take criticisms. Maybe you need to rework on your personality, on your giving nature. There are a lot of things that you might want to change when you come into a growth mindset, and change is the inevitable point there. And technology changes, economic circumstances may cause you a lot of different parameters what you had not estimated into the equation will come into play. So for you to be into a growth mindset and identify things that could go wrong requires you to be always very adaptable, and you need to learn, face criticisms, and fix the problems and move on. So for me, I think VP also stressed this was freedom. So I found certain things not working to my liking. We got into a business venture, and that has grown over a period of 2 decades. And now we specialize in certain areas, but we collaborate. So in the area of study abroad or accreditation services, our services are very well known, well respected, and sometimes we work with a lot of collaborators, and that is the game on today. Learn to collaborate, learn to work together, because together we can achieve quite a bigger part of the cake. But if you try to do it alone, there is a very limited amount that you can do by yourself. So keep having calculated risks and grow further. I think an entrepreneurial journey is a nice blessing, if it is done right with the right plan and the right focus. Thank you, Jasser. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sujit, for sharing those valuable tips. Thank you so much. Let me just ask the listeners, if you would like to come up and speak, please raise your hands. We can have a discussion. You can ask your questions. We'd like to hear your views as well. Aniket, Kushinte, Rajesh, Tara, Isuko, Grace, Vilas, Janib, Fawaz, Naveen, Vipin Das, Muhammad, Sabil, welcome all. And Ajit, welcome to the audio event. Please raise your hands if you'd like to come up and can share your experiences as well. So before we start taking questions from the panel, I'd like Kabir to share some of his views and tips being an entrepreneur. Like, because he's been an entrepreneur from the start, I think, but he has had a few stints at being an employee. So I'd like to hear that version. Over to you, Kabir.
Thank you, Jansa. So, if you tell, it is very quite little. Even though I've been an employee, I've been like kind of a working partner everywhere. So this I haven't had this experience. So for me, I was more to a dreamer. Like I started my engineering college to be an entrepreneur. Before engineering college, in the like high school and the schooling, I used to do business. Then I came itself. I started. I I failed. The second year, I used tried to build a team. Started, it failed. The third year, I worked out, build a big team of 20 people. Again, it failed. And then, surprisingly, the final year of engineering, I convinced 13 of my friends that we'll buy Google. Come on, let's work hard. And all of them stood strong with me, and we tried it, but we didn't have exposure to what is called the entrepreneurship. And my thing was that at that time, there was not no much of a buzz of startups happening. So after a year after that, like my first or second year after college, I had one of my friends in Yahoo. So not my friends, in my seniors in Yahoo. So he calls me and tell you have a guest today. So it was someone from IBM who was in a director position. So he was coming to see me. So this is one small story which I can relate to. Like then he comes and he was going to start an business. So he comes and asks me, he took me to a posh coffee shop. So you know how startups are. It is it is a struggle that you go through. So I went with him. We had for a coffee. Then he told, like in our colloquial language, there is a saying that your mustache has not come. Then why did he tell me to ask you whether ask you to start business? So till now, I don't understand why he asked. Maybe because of the experience I had of failing on 4 to 5 businesses. But he spoke to me, and he asked me, Kabir, what do you think? Can I do I go with it? Do I start a business? I don't know. It prompted in my mind no. But he was a bit angry with me. So I told him sorry. And after 1.5 years, he came. The same person came to see me. So again, two companies I have closed by the time. I've done it very quickly. So then I was a bit afraid, and I just then with a warm welcome, he took me to another coffee shop, and we had a coffee. And while that, he told, "Sorry if I misbehaved to you, like 1.5 years, like that time, but uh, I had a bad time with it. The business went off, and I'm still working back in the company. I want a single advice from you. I don't know why I'm asking you, but I need an advice. Do I start it? I want to start. Can you give me an advice? I just told him yes. Initially, I told him no. The 1.5 years back, this time I told him yes. So he told, you just told me yes and no, but you never told me why it was. So I told him one thing. When you came to see me first, you came telling me all the positive things of it. You were not even ready to hear from me. And if I would have told you, I have failed in three businesses which I was really passionate about and I thought it would succeed. But there was no gap. But now you are ready, you're matured enough to sit in front of me, hear me, and that to a small kid you're hearing. So I think there is a lot of wisdom you have learned in this. And I'm sure this wisdom will take you to heights. So what happened was that after that he's doing very good. He did very good after that. We I used to speak. So whoever knows me, I'm a dreamer. I dream a lot, and I have been trying to run businesses for the last 20 plus years. And this January, I had one of my very successful startups, so which I built to a very high brand nationally and internationally. I'm keeping it to a sleep mode. So the reason is that I found out that I'm good at weaving dreams for others. So now I run a cohort for 10 years in which I tell everyone, dream big, aim high, start small. Start very small that you can focus at it. So hope it answered, Jasif.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Um, so I also wanted to ask, like, despite failing, what keeps you, you have failed from the early days, and what kept you going, the entrepreneurial spirit in you?
Uh, if you ask me like that, I don't know. I wanted to like anyone in this panel, like most of them in this panel have been. I have a story with each one of them here. I have with VP. Like I had done my advanced diploma in NLP from VP. So at that time, I was like, that was one of the. If you take that was that years were very tough for me. Then some miracles happened. I did a very big event here. Then with Lijo, I have a very good experience. He gave me the first opportunity in UAE to implement my software line, ERP line. That we had an ERP line of Omendo, and he has the software still running there now. It's 8 to 9 years. So each time I would go, I would drain down very much, but still come up, get up. Then again, I'll think, yes, I have to go dream big. And after that, like one good thing which happened to me is 13 years back. I got married to my I got married, not to my wife. I got married, and my wife, yeah, she supports me. That's one good thing which I see. It's not that we don't fight, we don't have argument. We have all those like every houses. But when I'm fully stressed out and think of, come on, man, why did I do this wrong? She would point and ask me, we had bad days. Now we are doing something better. So concentrate, keep on concentrating, do whatever you want to do, enjoy it. So whoever knows me, till now, after one failure, I'm just trying to fix things. And now I'm. This is one person like my wife told me, Kabir, told me, see, you're good at this. More than trying to build a business, try this. You're good at advising. You're good at coaching. So give it a try. And 3 months back, I coached a small startup. 2 months. And seriously, I could generate a very good revenue. So I don't know. There is a passion in me. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I have few friends, especially who I call and cry. and they know me why I'm calling them. One is in Japan, one is in Qatar. So literally, I feel lost sometimes. I don't have any answers. Yeah, there is some very good moments, but there are very bitter moments. So now I'm in a mission to reach out to 100 million startups because I have gone through this 10 plus failures. It's not, I wouldn't call it exactly failures, but yes, I closed it down. So, yes, sometimes I don't know. The destiny may be, it may be dreams. I don't know what it is still.
Right, right. Um, so let me go back. I mean, it's been like VP Menon said, like enjoy the journey, I guess, right? We got Tovilova here, and Vilas, I think, just dropped down. Okay, he's back. Can you bring him up, Kabir?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tovilova, do you have any questions for the panel or any experiences that you'd like to share?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good morning. Um, I've learned a lot and actually raised up. So because of the question, my name is Tobilob and I'm connecting from Nigeria. I want to chip this in, come in with this, that we need to understand one thing that employee mindset is quite different from the employer mindset. An employee does not really need to learn how leadership works. Is not important. It's not a must. But if you want to be like, oh, you want to become an employer, that leave from the stage of being employee to an employer, you would want to study how leadership works. How does it work? How do we relate human relation? Because the thing is very, very different. It's quite different because the way you are going to relate as an employer, it will be different, like the way or you relate with your co-workers, with your co-employees. So the mindset is very important when we are talking about going from the stage of employee to an employer. How is you need to have a winning mindset. If you don't have a winning mindset, you cannot be a leader. You cannot be an employer. If you do not have a courageous mind, um, there is so much work that needs to be done when we are talking about an employer. There's so much of training, of growing resources, a lot. And rather than from the money you even use, this has to do with your mindset. Your mindset needs to shift. You would need a paradigm shift if you want to be an employer. If you are thinking that, oh, soon I want to be employing people, soon I want people to be working under me, soon I want people to be doing this on behalf of my company. So you must have an employer mindset, which is very important. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on this space.
Thank you, Tobilova. Employed the mindset. Speaking of which, VP Menon, could you lighten us on how to get into the right mindset when you make that shift?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just
Are you,
yeah, Jasir, hi. So, uh, like our speaker just now, Tobiloba said, the mindset of being an employee and of being an entrepreneur is very different, of course. And so that again, the beginning of that shift of mindset happens from the time you decide, you think about why you want to make the transition. That's why I said, as my first tip, I said, be clear about your why. And the moment you think, why do you want to do it? So I always wanted to freedom, like I said, that was my big why. And then that is linked to what do you want to do. So I wanted to get into a business where my experience, my skill sets are made good use of, But I also wanted a business, not just for the sake of running a business and making money out of it, but I wanted a business which helps in playing a small role in empowering people, changing this world, in my own small way. And that is why we are in the business of training and coaching, because we touch lives directly. Yeah, we touch lives directly. We touch lives of human beings, of people, and then these people go on and touch the lives of many other people. So there is a chain reaction. So I know that I'm doing something which is, you know, um, bringing a change, bringing an effect on many many people. May not be directly by me, but indirectly. Now, again, coming to the shift, mind shift thing, all these things play a role in bringing about that mind shift, And one of the things that you need to realize that as an employer, as an employee, there are other stakeholders, business owners who are taking care of the larger vision of the organization, and you're focused on doing specific roles, specific tasks, specific responsibilities. But when it comes to your own business, you need to be aware of your business in its totality. Yeah. So you may have different people working on different responsibilities within your business. But what I realize is, as an entrepreneur, you need to have your firm grasp on what's happening within the business, every part of it. And the more you are aware of things, it doesn't mean that you need to keep control over everything. You do delegate responsibilities and empower people and let them do things in the best possible way that they want to do it. But at the same time, you need to be aware. So at times when somebody is doing a business part time and they're not able to fully dedicate their time to the business, this can be a challenge because they're not fully aware of what's happening, and that can be a hurdle. So being aware of what's happening in the business, whether it is in terms of marketing, whether it is in terms of customer service, whether it's in terms of the financials of the business, everything, every aspect of the business needs to be, you need to be aware. And that is a big shift from being an employee to an employer, because like I said, employee is, you're just concerned with your department, your task, your responsibilities, your role, and we don't think much about the larger vision of the organization and what's happening, because we know there are people above us who are taking care of that. So let me focus on what I need to focus on. But here you are on the top, so you need to have an helicopter view of everything that's happening. And that's one of the bigger, besides many other things, of course, this is one of the bigger mind shift change that needs to happen. Over to you,
Right,
Just.
right. Thank you. That's a really insightful. Vilas, we have a couple of speakers. Hi. Vilas, your thoughts and questions if you have any?
Well, the journey of employee to employer is really interesting. It starts with the decision or the things what you make you comfortable in the employment. As we said, like a job, just obey the boss. So here the onus is going to the people who are employed or who are leading the game. But there are limitations. Once you have to come out of the limitations, then your entrepreneur journey starts. So when you become uncomfortable, when you see that you are not enjoying the journey being employed, and you want to do something big, as uh, uh, Jasir said, the dreamer, your dreams are not fulfilled being in that space. So you become uncomfortable to start your own. So because you are giving importance to you as a person. But coming out of that disciplinary work, you have to come with the discipline. That is one thing. Second, you have to make some habits which are there. You know that these are the habits we have to cultivate and we have to put efforts to be in, because in the entrepreneurial journey, I found that what you are trading upon your time, you are trading upon your expertise. Yeah, you have to learn and adopt and go with the new things. So another thing what I found is that you have to be curious and being in inquiry, like what else is possible to make this journey or process more enjoyable in the terms of being in this process of business. Like we have to have a vision, mission, and goals that are keep on driving us. So we have to make a clear statement, this is my vision. So any point of time, whether it's ups and downs, your vision is clear, and you have to keep it in front of you always, and you have to keep on repeating while in the business, this is my vision, this is my mission. So when the vision and mission comes together, the passion will appear, because you are not working for 8 to 6, or you are not working to only on one project, you are working on the bigger picture, where your goals are driving you. So it doesn't matter whether you are learning or whether you are winning. It matters that you are in the journey. So that is one part. Okay. Another thing I found is that you have to be very clear what you are going to sacrifice, because your sacrifices, you are not the normal person where you are having your good evening drinks, or happy hours, or being with the in the normal way, enjoying the birthdays, going on each and every function, going on the trips with the family. So we have to make sure that, okay, we have to sacrifice this normal lifestyle, which is normal employees living. So we have to be very clear. So we should not get frustrated when we are failing and we are not enjoying the way other people are enjoying. Those are employee. But the another thing I want to add as a fear, the employee is
Right.
working on fear. So, hello?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're just running out of time. Just have a few
Yeah,
more minutes. I want to
yeah, please.
forward to Grace.
Yeah, please.
Right. Grace, if you have any thoughts or quick questions, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jasir, and all the speakers. Yeah. While I'm listening to everyone speak, what resonated with me is the fact that someone mentioned your why, the passion you bring to the table, the problems you want to solve, and the fact that you have this servant mentality. I'm there to serve, not because I want to be an employer and want people to serve me or to do things for me, but what can I give back? So I think that is powerful. If that is the driving force, it keeps one motivated, and not just for the idea of being an employer, but that I'm there to solve a problem and I'm there to serve. I think those, for me, it resonates very well. And I think they are powerful traits, to have, being and wanting to be an employer. So I just wanted to bring this up. Thank you very much. This is powerful.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you for keeping it very short and very powerful. With that, we are coming to a close of today's session. Before I hand over to Kabir, I'd like to take some parting thoughts from Licho.
Hello.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
your parting
Thank.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jasir, and thank you for inviting me to share my experience. As the title says, from an employee to an employer. If somebody asks what are the tips, the very first thing is an employee should take or learn the maximum skill or expertise when he is doing the job, and move to employer an area or a sector where there is a need for it, along with your passion and your supporting system from family to the friends and your team in the company or in the organization. You will become a successful employer. Thank you.
Beautifully summed up. Thank you. Uh, VP Manan, your parting thoughts.
Yeah, my parting thoughts would be there are many people in this world who want to make this transition. I'm someone who thought for about 5 6 years before I actually made the transition. Uh, so what I wanted to say is it's okay. It's okay to have that nervousness. It's okay to have that slight fear of making the transition. Uh, but at the end of the day, remember that it's the first step that matters. So take one step at a time. Don't rush into it. Travel this journey at your own pace, whatever pace you're comfortable with, and never hesitate to seek help. There are a lot of people out there who's willing to help you. So take help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. And remember that there is a lot of untapped potential within each one of us. Many times we ourselves are not aware of the potentials that we have. And as you take your small steps in this journey, you will find that you are becoming aware of a lot of strengths that you have, of resources that you have, capabilities that you have, and then you will slowly start putting it to good use and get results from it. So like I said, patience is the key. Remember that Rome was not built in a day. Building a business doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of effort involved. But the fun part of it is you may be working 8 hours at a job. You will willingly work 18 hours when it's your own business and you don't feel tired because you enjoy doing what you're doing. So it's a different kick altogether once you get into it. I wish you all the best, and at any time, if I can be of any help, I'm more than happy to have a discussion with you.
Thank you so much for that. With that, let me hand the mic over to Kabir. Kabir, sorry.
Thank you, Jasir. It was a wonderful session. I would like to tell sorry, Vilas. We wanted to hear more from you, but unfortunately, the time was just finishing, so we couldn't hear you. We would like to have your comments, and more discussions can happen on the comments. It was a wonderful session. Thank you, VP. As we always, with love, we tell him. And thanks a lot, Lijo, and the speakers who came from the listeners, Miss Grace, Dr. Sujit, and I think Vishal. Thanks a lot. So, entrepreneurship, it is like a marathon. It is like long run. It's a long journey. So before you start, you won't know what the destination is. Not sure what new things and surprises comes in between. So I always tell, dream big, aim high, start small. Starts very small, that you understand what you're doing. Start very small. It will help you to master it. Start very small so you can have 100% of your focus on it. And once you're ready with that, keep the building blocks one over the another. Then you're ready to scale. And that's when you be a high performance entrepreneur. So I would love to thank once again the speakers today, Valsila Kumar and Lijo. And thanks a lot all the listeners who came here and have been with us. Please do share this, and the recording will be put under the link like today's event. And thanks a lot. Please do share with your friends and family. The meeting is going to end in the count of three. 3, 2, 1, 0. You can tell bye.